And we are live.
You got a friend in me.
Hey, everybody.
So today I'm going to be working on building Drax. We're just starting our cosmic journey into Marvel Crisis Protocol. We did Web Warriors and A-Force and X-Men, X-Force, and we're going to go cosmic next year. We always get inspired for next Adepticon by what we get in the swag for what we got this year. So we got Yondu and Nova. We did trade and get, I don't know, like 20-ish characters for Marvel Crisis Protocol.
Yeah, there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 boxes.
In the swag, we got Elsa and Man-Thing, the new Inhumans box, and I was super excited for Yondu and Nova. So, and we think it's going to be a fun, like, artistic canvas to do, like, a galaxy. We're both going to have a 2-threat character. So, Rocket and Nebula are 2 threats, and we'll both have a 5-threat in the form of Angela and Nova.
Yep.
So, we don't really know how to play Guardians yet. I mean, we sort of have an idea of what they do. I mean, Star-Lord likes to give out rerolls to his team for being plucky, and they're just winging it. Just getting started on Drax. We've got a couple Guardians characters already that I started building, like Beta Ray Bill just happens to be a Guardians of the Galaxy guy. And we're going to try to keep it affiliated, except I want to have Captain Marvel, because I'm going to use her binary form model from the new core set and run her as her original 4-threat, but I just love the look of this model. So even though she's not Guardians affiliated, she'll be a splash for fun. So Stephanie, we went to Adepticon 2025. Woo!
It was so much fun.
We did so much stuff. I'm going to try not to make this super long, but
Yeah.
There's a lot to mention and go through and talk about. This year was, I'm calling it the roller coaster year, where our highs were higher and our lows were lower than the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we were already like in a brain fog going into Adepticon, and then we were trying to hold on to every moment while we were there, and now it's like processing everything, and like I'm still getting over con crud. Your cough is just like not ever gone away.
My cough started back in October, so that's never going away. I'm pretty sure this is just my new set of lungs, so that's cool. But our Adepticon actually started on Monday. We drove up to Schaumburg.
Yeah, so we had a couple days hanging out in Schaumburg. We went to Kuma's, which was the typical Adepticon place to get your Adepticon burger from. They didn't have an Adepticon burger, but I still got a burger with onion straws on top, and
we just wanted to go give Schaumburg a proper goodbye since we weren't sure last year leaving Adepticon what was happening, and we felt like we needed to give a proper goodbye to Schaumburg. And
I'm sure we're not the only ones that had that idea.
Oh, I know we're not. I saw it all over the internet.
Like, a lot of people had to pass through the Chicago area to get up to Milwaukee, so like stopping by and taking a picture of the Renaissance and going to Kuma's.
And a lot of people, I'm sure, flew into Chicago to drive up to Milwaukee. Yeah. So they were already driving through. Why not make a stop?
I think that was there were a couple downsides of the new venue. I love the Bard Center or Beard Center.
It was beautiful.
I mean, the historical's on the 4th floor. We learned a lesson trying to get from one side to the other side of the Bard Center. On the 1st floor, you had to go outside, and there's a street there, and then you realize you can't get back in unless it's a security entrance. So we ended up having to walk around the building and finding somebody to let us back in. So we learned you got to go up to the 2nd floor to take the sky bridge over and then down again. So there's that.
That's Wednesday. We're still on Monday.
Oh, I'm sorry. Renaissance. I mean, it was fun. I needed that time, actually. I try to be prepared for these tournaments, and I'm reading the packets that just got released. And I realized that Blood and Plunder I'm not prepared for, so I printed off my lists, and I'm practicing going over my rules. I'm a very new Blood and Plunder player, so I'm trying to get as prepared as I can. And that's going to go into my story for Saturday. But just know that, like, I got out models, went over my list, read over the rule book, and even though I'm very new to Blood and Plunder, I wanted to be as comfortable and prepared as I possibly could. Because we like to play, like we always say, sportsmanship first, hobby second, try to give our opponents a good game, and then try to win our games last. So just wanted to make sure it was a good game regardless. How did you feel about Renaissance before we actually drove up to Milwaukee?
I mean, there was a lot under construction, so we couldn't really go anywhere. Obviously, we just kind of parked the car and walked around outside a little bit and took a couple pictures. They had like I said, they had a lot of construction going on.
It's interesting how, like, Adepticon moves away from the Renaissance, and now the Renaissance seems to be expanding and renovating itself. So maybe it learned a lesson, like, oh, maybe we need to accommodate more people. Yeah.
But yeah, it was nice to just say goodbye, go to Kuma's one more time, and
I had so much anxiety going into Adepticon this year, more than normal, because of Path of the Worthy. I was obsessed with my Juggernaut. I spent a whole week basically trying to fine-tune Juggernaut. And with my Path of the Worthy, the whole idea was just to participate for the first time. And I wanted to do my best and see what happened. And I was shooting for a bronze medal, or bronze rating, originally. That was the goal that I had set for myself, like, not too lofty, but more than participation. I got obsessed, and so this time at the hotel was really nice to just kind of chill, relax, process. It was like a pre-processing of Adepticon before we left.
We played a practice game of Marvel Crisis Protocol in the lobby of the hotel, which was nice. I support. Amy says, did you all make it over to the 3rd Street Market at all during the con? We did not.
3rd Street Market, that's in Milwaukee?
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't, because we were in a hotel that was connected to the Bard Center. We did a lot of just walking over the skywalk over there, and we didn't do a lot of exploration.
Unfortunately, our schedule was so packed this year.
Unfortunately, but we do it to ourselves.
It's our own fault.
We're spending all this money to go there. We got to experience as much as we possibly can.
And I think we learned our lesson with how many events we signed up for this
year. No, we didn't. We will never learn our lesson. We said that last year.
Well, next year, I want more time to hang out with my friends.
That's what we said last year, too.
Well, I don't remember saying that last year, because last year I wasn't so involved in the community.
Right, with the war dolls and whatnot.
Yeah, so
I'm sure 3rd Street Market is amazing. We end up going to...
I definitely want to check it out next year.
Yeah, like, we went to a little bistro across the street, but I mean, that's about as far as we got from the hotel.
Yeah, we walked across the street Sunday night for dinner.
Yep, that's about it.
That was about it.
Yeah.
That was the only time we left the hotel and convention center.
So Wednesday we drove up there.
We got there early, like we got there around noon and was able to check in right away, which was really nice because we wanted time to explore and learn where things were.
Those hotels can pack a ton of people in there.
Yeah.
Like we were at the Hyatt.
The Hyatt, yeah.
And that was awesome. Like we were on the 9th floor and we were only about halfway up, and you just like, I don't know, just that whole experience of just looking up and just seeing all the rooms just going up and up and up. That's so cool.
It was a nice hotel.
Yeah. Not quite as nice as the Renaissance, but
we were in the Hilton for trivia Wednesday night. It is so pretty over there. Like, I took a picture of the spiral staircase, and it was such a pretty hotel.
I think the Hilton's more like a historical.
Oh, it was so pretty.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind staying over there, but it would be a longer walk. Like, I did like how the Hyatt Skybridge, like, dropped you into the middle of everything in the convention center.
Right. We walked in, and we were right at Golden Demon every day. And because there was enough space, there was a ton of people, but you could get around them. Whereas at the Renaissance, you couldn't even see the Golden Demon cases because it was in this hallway and it was super packed. And you just couldn't get over there. So, yeah, I definitely loved how there was places to sit down and tables to eat at. There was all these little alcoves. There was a quiet space. And yes, the food was definitely predatory. And some of you guys and other friends like warned us, like, hey, if you buy something out of that vending machine, you don't know how much you're going to spend. It doesn't tell you how much it is until you buy it. And they spent like $7 on a small bag of chips kind of thing. So lesson learned there. I'm glad we didn't actually do that. I mean, the food was expensive, but as long as you find the good food, like the poke bowl.
None of the food I had was bad.
Yeah.
The pizza was good. The poke bowl place was amazing. The Chinese place was good. Dustin says the Spring Hill was really nice too.
Okay. So that was like across the street. Yeah. It rained one day, I think, so it might have gotten wet that one day, but
people were coming in. I think that was Friday. That it was just like, no, because it was a day that the kids were there. It must have been Saturday. It was just like pouring rain.
I was listening to Krabik talk about his experience. I think he might have stayed at Spring Hill and got wet one day playing Armada. So Wednesday, we get there, we start exploring around. Stephanie is very much a planner and an organizer, and she's like, I want to find where everything is.
I am.
Like, how long did we explore around?
Like 3 hours.
Right? We started on level 2. We learned our lesson about
going outside.
Going outside on level 1.
Don't go outside.
Level 3 was like the big halls for AMG and Games Workshop. And then level 4 was like award spaces and Firelot games and historicals. But the 4th floor was only on above the Golden Demon side. There wasn't a second side for the 4th floor. So that means they can expand. If Adepticon needs more space, there's more space.
They can build a 4th floor over the one end. Dustin says, we were so busy that I never got the time to look through GD.
GD?
Oh, Golden Demon.
Golden Demon, yeah.
I normally do midnight walks of it, so it's less crowded.
Yeah, right.
3rd Street Market was nice because it was close, full of variety, and cheaper than the Bard food.
Okay.
We're going to have to check that out next year for sure. That was one thing that I don't really want to complain about it because we knew it was going to be expensive being in the convention center, but I didn't know what to expect as far as like how expensive.
It was going to be $30 for 2 people.
Literally
every time.
$30 to $40 for 2 people every time we ate.
Yeah.
Which I should have expected, but it was a little bit of sticker shock when, one bowl of food is $20.
What do we got?
Elle said she checked out Golden Demon at 2:30 a.m. at one point. I'm too old to stay up that late. And then she said that she also went to the 3rd Street Market and it was pretty affordable and there was a ton of food.
Nice.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Lesson learned for next year.
Yep.
Put on the list.
For sure.
Yep.
While we were exploring, we saw lots of people that...
Yes.
I
met Sarastro.
You met Sarastro.
Evan from the 5th Trooper.
I ran into Spark from Sparkhammer Minis and got to talk to her for the first time in person. Obviously, we had her on the Wardalls podcast, so I had talked to her virtually before, but never in person, so that was cool. And
I'm sure there's people that we saw and hung out with and met that we're going to forget about mentioning today.
We saw Evan that day.
I met a guy from 40K Radio. I forget his name. We're friends on Facebook now, though. But he was just in line.
We talked to Fort Wapple.
Yes, Jimmy.
We ran
James
into
Wapple.
Dr. D from Professional
Casual.
Casual.
David Zelenka.
David Zelenka, I'm sorry.
And Malbor Paints.
Malbor Paints, yep. Aaron and Clint. So many cool people.
Yep. You probably already mentioned Elle. Thank you for my shiny sticker and my button. I had it on my lanyard all week.
Yeah, we ran into Elle.
We got to see her shiny shoes in person.
Yes, she has like every color of them. She said Mark Sarastro is one of her best friends. He's such a great dude.
Yeah. I was starstruck. He was the first person that I saw, like, in the hallway. I talked about how we were into Imperial Assault and went through those videos. I haven't seen every single Sarastro video, but I have seen most of the Imperial Assault ones, which are some of his, first ones that he did, and oldest now. But yeah, definitely appreciate the content. Sarastro's amazing. It was nice that he was willing to stand there in the hallway and talk to us for about 5 minutes.
Yeah, and then we got... I was pleasantly surprised with how quick the line went for registration and badge pickup and getting all of that. Like, past years, it's been hours of waiting in line.
It was less than an hour.
It was literally 50 minutes from the time we got in line, got our badges, and then went over and got all of our merch that we bought.
Yep.
So to get through both lines, it was like 50 minutes.
I saw Corey Linegar and Alan Blunt from the Model Citizens Bulk Guns Battles, and so I ran across the GW floor, or walked quickly to give Corey a hug, and
Alan.
And I saw Alan,
yeah, and
then talked to the 40K radio guy, and just chit-chatting in line made it feel like it was just a few minutes standing there.
It didn't take long at all, which was really nice.
Got a picture with the Terminator. It was actually your swag bag, and it was your hobby bundle.
Yeah, I got all the swag this year. We got the swag bag, took it up to the room, and immediately started opening everything to see what all we had, and then we are really into trading for stuff that we're going to use, because obviously we don't play every game that you get in the swag bag. Oh yeah, took full advantage of the Facebook trading group, and that's how we came home with so much MCP, was being in the trade group and trading for other people's MCP that they didn't want. Even one of the big boxes that we got with the swag was that box of Skaventide for Age of Sigmar, and we traded that to one of our buddies for an MCP core set. That was Peter, yes. Dustin says that they had their badges shipped, so they only had to do the swag pickup.
That probably added into the making the line more efficient.
Probably, yeah, that's what he was saying. I don't know if I could have my badge shipped, because I would be too nervous for it to get lost in the mail. And I'm like, you know what? I gotta wait in line anyway to get my swag. I'm just gonna wait in line and get my badge as well.
What all did you get in that hobby bundle? And why did you splurge for it?
I splurged for the hobby bundle because I knew I was wanting some better brushes, because, let's be honest, I bought the cheap Walmart ones, and then I'm not happy with them. But the hobby bundle came with a really nice station mat and a water cup and a cutting board, and then I thought it was supposed to come with 11 brushes, but I only ended up with 9, so I don't really know what happened there. We got, of course, t-shirts, and we got Braden one of those purity seals, and we didn't get Rosie anything because she wanted to go shopping, so I took her shopping during the weekend. But yeah, and then Wednesday night, after everything was said and done...
Yeah, we won Marvel Trivia!
We went and played Marvel Trivia, as we always do, with our friends from... Our team name is Guardians of the Insects.
And we made buttons this year for them, or for everybody.
For them this year, because this is our 3rd year playing with the same group.
Yeah, we've been doing this long enough, it's like, we gotta do something special. Yep. Andrew, Gina, Dustin, Peter, amazing. I cried like a baby. The format this year was different. So normally there's certain rounds and you bet up to 10 points or 1 to 10. There's a certain format of bidding points, and it was completely different this year. The guy who hosted it was pretty nice, but he threw some curveballs at us, which was really cool. And the fact that we've won twice now with 2 very different formatted Marvel trivia events, I'm feeling pretty good about our team.
Yeah.
I felt more like support this year. I had a couple that were really good. What were the ones I answered? It was how many minutes was Loki falling?
Yeah.
And it was 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I got that one. And I got one other one. Do you remember? Dustin probably
Dustin says, to be fair, Brendan, Peter, and I were pretty inebriated.
Yeah.
That's very fair. I answered 2. I knew about Sharon calling herself a nurse.
Oh, right.
And how many times stronger, or it was about like the Captain America like drinking and
yes,
or something.
His system, his metabolism is
burns 4 times
faster, not 10 times faster.
Yeah.
I got another number 1 correct. I don't remember. And then
Gina and Andrew were on it.
Gina and Andrew were freaking amazing. One of the format curveballs was they did pictures, and based on the picture, you had to answer in certain ways. And one of them was a Natalie Portman baby picture. And I think it was Gina who discovered.
Gina got it.
She's like, that's Natalie Portman right there.
She's like, I can tell just by looking at it. I'm like, you can?
Yeah. And that was correct.
Dustin says the year of Iron Man 3 opening was another one of yours, Brendan.
Oh,
you
right.
Got 1999.
Right. 1999, because I remembered it was about to be Y2K with Aldrich Killian on the on that rooftop when they were supposed to meet on the rooftop. So, yep. Hey, I got the 2, and that's why you need 6 people on a trivia team. Like we always say, if you go with less than 6, find other people, make a pot of 6. So our friend Shane came, and he was by himself, and I'm like, hey, Shane, here's the defending champs from last year, from Goblin Games. You guys go play. And, yeah, so the prizes were huge boxes of MCP that we didn't know what was in them.
It was just
AMG boxes. Which we figured was
cardboard boxes, and we didn't know what was in them.
And in my brain, I'm like dreaming.
Actually, to be honest, if we would have gone up to the desk and read the box, it says Mightiest Corset on the box. But we didn't think to go up to the desk to read it.
No, but it's fine. So first place was going to get a bunch of MCP that I didn't know what it was. Second place was a bunch of Marvel United that the host said was Marvel Puzzles, which I guess in a way...
it is a puzzle game, but it's not a
with
puzzle.
Chibis and miniatures.
It's a game.
It's a cooperative board game, y'all. And then there was a surprise bag, and I don't think we ever figured out what was in that bag.
I don't think we ever saw what was in the surprise bag.
Dustin, do you know what was in the third place mystery bags? That may remain a mystery for us. But I was dreaming about what was going to be in these AMG boxes because they were so big, and I'm like,
and we were like,
is it like every expansion?
We were like,
so I must have been super emotional from sleep deprivation and alcohol and my friends I only get to see once a year with my wife, and I was just so... I mean, I'm already an emotional kind of male, and I lost it. When we won, I cried my eyes out. I guess I needed that. It was like a cathartic thing to start Adepticon off. So we got our medals, and what happened to be in those big AMG boxes was core sets. 6 new core sets for Marvel Crisis Protocol. 6 is way too many for our group. We already have it. So Andrew and Gina just took one set for the 2 of them. I think Dustin took a set. And when Peter was like, can I trade you this for the Skaven Tide? I'm like, absolutely. Like, you play AOS, we play Marvel Crisis Protocol. And then we took a few sets. One of those core sets got traded away for multiple boxes of things. And one of the core sets... it was actually a guy who came and played in an event here yesterday. Yeah. Because he won Best Painted in our painting competition, he got to take home an entire core set, Earth Mightiest core set. Yeah. It was really cool. Like, this guy had played in the What If, and he was also in Path of the Worthy a year or two ago, something like that. So we chatted a while.
Dustin says not a chance to knowing what was in those mystery boxes.
Oh, yeah, okay. Who knows? Were they stickers? Were they... I don't know, little card games?
They remain a mystery.
Yeah. Yeah, if you ever discover what was in those mystery boxes, I'd want to know, but we'll probably never know. Not a big deal.
Until we play and win 3rd place.
Yeah. Well, they'll have a completely different format for us next year.
Oh, probably.
They just better always do it on Wednesday night, because that's the best way to kick off Adepticon with our friends is playing Marvel Trivia.
Yep, for sure.
And we're done playing Star Wars Trivia, because it's too hard and...
Well, I don't know.
Nope.
I don't... If they changed up the format, because they obviously used the same Natalie Portman picture.
Yeah, right? Because she's in both Star universes.
Wars. So if you played Marvel Trivia, you knew the answer to that. And had a leg up on everybody.
That's funny.
I know Elle played Star Wars Trivia.
And it wasn't it Krabick and Friends that won?
Yeah, and he left her, and so they ended up with 12 people when they showed up to play, and the host was like, "No, you guys gotta
split up in 2 groups."
And,
so Elle had to split from his group.
Yeah, and Krabick's group won.
I'd be interested to know, like, what did the Star Wars Trivia winners get?
That traitor. Didn't you say they got like Shatterpoint stuff for winning?
I mean, if they got Shatterpoint core sets, I'm a little jealous because I don't
think it was core sets. I think she had said it was like expansion packs.
Yeah.
A bunch of expansions for the games. Yeah.
Okay. That's what I was hoping for MCP, but that's okay.
We'll take the core sets.
It worked out. We got to trade, give away prizes, and we still have another core set, which we can use for modifying and doing conversions and paint jobs and tokens and all that stuff. So anyway, that was just Wednesday.
And I just want to go back and relive Wednesday because I love our Guardians of the Insects. They're such fun people.
It sucks that Adepticon's only 4 days a year. Anyway, we got to try to get through all these days. Thursday was
shopping.
We started with shopping. I was super excited for Port Royal from Firelock Games. It was actually the game I wanted to play, but all the seats were sold out for those events, so I ended up playing Blood and Plunder instead. Port Royal is like a smaller skirmish version, sort of a Mordheim pirate Blood and Plunder thing. I finally got to play a demo of it yesterday. I actually really enjoyed Port Royal. I'm looking forward to playing it some more. So we went shopping, and I grabbed the core set for Port Royal, rulebook for one of the guys at home. We just ran around and got stuff.
I went to Turbo Dork.
Stephanie got her Turbo Dork hat and a set of Turbo Dork paints and Monument Hobby paint or Pro Acryl paints.
I bought those on a different day, but yeah, I did get Pro Acryl paints after using them in one of my classes over the weekend.
Marvel Crisis Protocol playmats was on our list as well, since we're kind of responsible for running that game here in town, and we had only one mat, so we ended up getting 2 playmats. One of them's like a city block that I use for Shadowlands / Hell's Kitchen. So there's an apartment building that is Alias Investigations for Jessica Jones. There's a billboard that has Fisk for mayor, and then I have a bunch of like ninja stuff, like a dojo and that kind of hand ninja stuff to populate the rest of the board. And then the other board we got, or playmat, was this moon, sort of bright blue. Could probably be used as Adelan for the Inhumans, or kind of goes well with our cosmic stuff that we're working on. We like how all the spots for the objectives are already marked out for you. So, like, the most pain in the butt part of that game is probably setting up where all the tokens are. But if you have that marked out on your playmat before you start, it just makes us so much nicer.
Saves so much time.
Yeah, it's worth it, especially for tournaments. So we shopped, and then it was time for the Adepticon 500. this was advertised as like a really fun con race game. We did Gonk Droid Racing with L last year, and so we thought, oh yeah, well, it's kind of like that, but with race cars. And Stephanie used to be a NASCAR fan, and our friend David from MCP was also racing, so we were excited about this.
Yeah.
I didn't have high hopes because Gonk Droid Racing was very silly. I did not like Adepticon 500 at all. So what happened was Stephanie and I chose to be one car together so we could trade off back and forth who was playing it. So people, we could have breaks and go do other things while the other person was racing. So I raced it for a little while.
Because it was like a 3.5 hour long event.
Uh-huh.
And we're like, I don't know if I want to do this for 3.5 hours.
They wanted us to do 8 laps and multiple races.
Yeah.
And you raced for 2.5 hours.
And I beat him.
And you won.
We didn't even hit lap 8. I was coming across the finish line at lap 5. And it was me and 2 other cars left. Because everyone else had blown engines. And I was about to lap 3rd place. I was 3/4 of a lap ahead of them. And I'm like, you guys just want to call it? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, yeah. Cool, I win.
There was some weirdness because the organizer was like, everybody pick a car. And so Stephanie picked a car to keep as a prize, which is what she thought it was. What he meant. And then later on in the con, that guy tracked me down and said, did you take a car from the event? I'm like, yeah, Stephanie picked out her prize. Remember, you told us 3 times to pick a car. He's like, that was going to be for the next race, not to keep. Oh, okay. I did not feel comfortable handing Stephanie's prize to him, so I called Stephanie. I'm like, hey, this is what's happening. I'm going to hand him back this car. And she was fine with it.
It's fine.
But it annoys me because of this silly game. It's for some people. It's not for most people, right? But anyways, I handed him the car back. I mean, she should have been able to keep this car. It was a little piece of cardboard.
I don't really care.
With wheels. I know, but it was a Tony Stewart car. And I was glad that you won it. And then we had to give it back. So.
It's fine.
I'm glad you think it's fine. Anyway, that was Adepticon 500. I was glad to be done with that.
I'm kind of over playing con games.
Silly little con games.
At this point.
But we met El Firespray at one.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's like the meet new people kind of game.
Yeah.
So, but if that kind of game is more than an hour or 2, it's too long.
Yeah.
I was then headed to Middle Earth, and Stephanie was headed to Hobby Hang.
Wardall's Hobby Hang.
Wardall's Hobby Hang. You want to go first, or you want me to go first?
You can go first.
Yeah, because mine is sort of the
That's
meh.
Fine.
One of the low points for me was Middle Earth strategy battle game. I enjoy Chaos and Arda, which it's a narrative way to play. I'm not super competitive with Middle Earth at all. And because of I was tired. I was really excited to just sit down with some cool people and play a narrative game of Middle Earth. This is how I play Middle Earth. Once a year, I go and I play Chaos and Arda. It's kind of a chill, friendly game, and you play 4 people around the table, and it's sort of a free-for-all, grabbing points. Not that big a deal. It's friendly. And I go in there, and I see Treebeard. Not the character, the man. The Treebeard is a really cool guy from Michigan. We've seen him around with Marvel Crisis Protocol. He was playing Middle Earth, this narrative game as well. So I'm super excited. I'm like, hey, Treebeard, maybe we'll get to roll dice together today. I think he's a little bit newer to Middle Earth. So, he's a wonderful painter, great player, but just a little bit newer to the game, I think. So me and Treebeard go to the table, and the other 2 people to go to the table was a grandfather and a grandson. Again, I'm just wanting to chill and have a relaxing game. And the grandfather and the grandson, as much as they were in good spirits, they were brand new to the game, essentially. The judges did not seem to want to be around that much for teaching, just to answer important questions, which meant that I essentially taught the game. I did my best with my energy level at the time. I tried to give them a good experience, but there was so many questions that I had to answer, call the judge over. There's a new edition of the game, and I'm not that competitive, so I don't know all the answers. So it becomes a little bit frustrating. We got to play the game out, and Treebeard won. It was really close, me and him. We had some fights, but I'm not sure they still know how to play or not. I did my best, you know what I mean? But I was going to go after Middle-earth and meet Stephanie with her cool hobby hang and meet her Wardall friends and have fun doing that. But I couldn't. I was completely exhausted from the 3 hours of teaching Middle-earth. So I went back to the room, went to bed. So I missed out on the cool hobby hang that Stephanie had. So how'd that go, Stephanie?
It went great. So it started around 6 o'clock, and I went and grabbed the biggest table I could find in the Hyatt lobby and fired up Discord. We had, in the beginning, it was me and Elle and Kimber and Malibor Paints.
Aaron and Clint. I got to meet them. They were awesome.
Yeah. We were just chilling. I was working on a model for a little bit. I think Elle was working on a piece. Kimber was working on something. Clint and Aaron were drinking.
Ooh, nice.
Once more people started showing up for the gender minority hangout, it got loud, so people on Discord couldn't really hear us, which was fine. But it was a great turnout for both events. We had that room packed, and
What room did you say it was?
That room, as you come down the escalators, off to the left where there's a fireplace and a big long table and couches.
So one of the lobby areas of the Hyatt?
Yeah. And
that's cool.
We met some really awesome people. I recruited a bunch of new people into the Discord, and
Panda was one of the ones we haven't mentioned yet that we met.
Oh yeah. We ran into Panda first thing Wednesday. We came down the escalator, and I happened to look over the escalator, and I saw this person sitting with a tote bag that had a panda on it. I'm like, I know that logo. But she was at Hobby Hang as well. So we hung out with her there too. Jamie Daggers showed up.
So I'm 80% asleep in the hotel room. I text Stephanie to kind of check in, and she's like, "Oh yeah, Krabick just showed up to hang out." And I told him about our Star Wars displays. I'm like, "Are you gotta be kidding me?"
Clint, the bathrobe guy, was there hanging out.
Okay.
Not in a bathrobe.
Aw. So you never saw a robe guy in a robe?
I did around the con, but I didn't, not when he was at the hangout.
Mm-hmm.
Lila Mev was there.
You ran out of stickers.
I did.
Stephanie came with a pack of Star Wars and Marvel stickers.
I had Star Wars and Marvel stickers out on the table, and they got picked through, so I left the few that were left over there on the table for other people.
So you would say it was a success?
Yes, it was very successful. I met the person who created the gender minority event.
Mm-hmm.
He came up and said hi to me. I invited him to be in the Wardall's Discord. So he's one of the few guys on the Wardall's Discord, and we're going to be collaborating next year at Adepticon.
It makes sense that Wardalls and gender minority just smashes together and has a great time.
We're going to try to make the event even bigger. We've thrown out the idea of using the second floor of the Hyatt, because that whole floor, there was never anybody on it.
The one with the succulents?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was never anybody up there. So we were like, let's just go up there and take over. Cool. Yeah, we're going to... He said he'd be willing to do all of the, submitting for an event for Adepticon so that it's on the event list and stuff like that. So
cool.
Yeah, hopefully make it bigger and better next year.
Yeah, it's I heard that it was a little bit too much like audio when a lot of people showed up to do the virtual part of the hobby hang.
Yeah, so we ended up closing down the Discord after a while. But
at least it was sort of like a check-in with Wardalls virtually.
Yeah, I mean, we were able to chat with Cammy and Shio and all the others that typically get on Discord that couldn't make it to Adepticon. So
yeah,
we got to chat with them for a good couple hours before everybody else started showing up.
Okay. Well, I'm glad it went well, and I'm sorry I missed it, and I missed out on everybody. But that's Thursday. I tried to get some sleep, and then Friday was Marvel Crisis Protocol Teams. This is our main event. Stephanie and I, our main events are team tournaments. That usually doesn't make sense for a lot of con goers because their competitive events are usually their main events, but doubles is what Stephanie and I love, and this is what we prepared for. Was this Friday. Long day, 5 rounds, at least 2.25 hours per round with a little bit of breaks in between and a lunch break, so it's all day. We're usually super exhausted by round 4, and I don't know if it was adrenaline or just all of the awesomeness that happened, but I didn't feel that. I didn't feel that at all this year.
I think at one point we were starting to crash, and then I went and got us some sodas just to have some sugar.
Yeah.
And we were good. Well, and it helped that our last round, the people were super chill, and they're like, let's just split the prize, and there's no pressure, and let's just have fun. 3
of the teams we played against were people that we're acquaintances with or friends with or played before.
Yeah.
So we were dressed up with our blue shirts. This is the picture that you put up for today, right?
On Facebook and
okay.
Instagram.
Yeah, so TikTok, I drew the M on my face. Stephanie's got streak in her hair. We did, there's a light on the board. The board rotates. It's our X-Men, X-Force. We were super excited to show people, including all the professional casual people. And, this was a year of work that we got to unleash on the community on Friday. And we fired it up a little bit in the morning, and we got a little bit of a crowd. Not quite the same kind of crowd that DJ Darth Mello got, but still, there was a lot of people that had to come over. I met Will from the House Party Protocols podcast. I met, I think his name is Jason, who was a finalist or a Mjolnir winner, Path of the Worthy last year.
Yeah.
With Wolverine slashing a Sentinel. He's got a cool story behind how he paints because he's slightly colorblind, that kind of thing. So met a lot of really cool people. We're going by professional casual for round 1, and Taylor's like, you guys want to be on stream? Like, heck yeah.
Oh, yeah, we do.
Absolutely. So if you want
to... No, because the way the table numbers were set up.
Oh, okay.
I saw table 2 at the end of a table row. So I assumed, because we were on table 1, that it was the stream table.
Oh, okay.
So I went over and I asked Taylor, is this table number 1?
Yeah.
And he said, no, that's all the way down at the end. I was like, oh, okay.
And then
I started to walk away, and he's like, well, do you guys want to be on stream? I'm like, yeah.
Gosh. My leg is coming apart on Drax here. We had been on stream 2 years ago. We kind of love watching that back on occasion. So we were like, absolutely. So we got to put our display next to the streamers. And if you want to watch our round 1 for the team event, you can on YouTube, Professional Casual Network. I think it's like Adepticon Teams. And it's only the first 2 rounds of teams that were streamed. So we're super lucky. We played against a really competitive, cool team playing Dormammu, target acquired. And we were playing our X-Force on this Apocalypse table. And we played well. We were honored because Tim actually took the pamphlet about our display that we made with the photography, and he read our story on stream. Mm-hmm. That was really cool.
That was really cool.
It talks about how we learned from last year towards this year. So we played the best we could, and we gave them a good game. They beat us. The first round, we got cover really well, and we were scoring well.
We got slammed by Dormammu.
Well, it was actually Lady Jane.
Oh yeah, Lady Jane with Dormammu
like Dormammu was there, but it was Lady Jane who can just keep throwing you and throwing you. So round 2, she starts off by dazing 3 characters. She takes Wolverine and throws him into Cable, and then she throws a piece of terrain at Deadpool. So half of our team is, hurting real bad on that side of the table. We have a nice pop-off turn with X-23 on the other side of the table, but it wasn't quite enough. So we ended up, I think it was 10 points to 20 points at the end. And you played a 16, so, I always feel like it's a good game if the losing team has at least 10 points. So I was super happy with how the stream went and being on stream again. We got pictures with people. Taylor, I did a little photo shoot with some of his models for the showcase that we just did. I'm going to let Drax sit here because his leg's not cooperating. Who else did we play? Let's try to get through this this Friday. We played Brian and someone that teamed up with someone we had not met before. He was super cool. They were playing Man-Thing and they were playing Midnight Suns. That was a really cool game. There was a moment where Man-Thing pulled I forget. Oh, Cyclops. We did flip-flop back and forth playing X-Men and X-Force. So we're playing X-Men with Cyclops. And so Man-Thing pulls Cyclops towards him, and then as he's doing that, Cyclops dazes Man-Thing off of a first strike or first shot, whatever that ability is called. So that was a cool moment. That was a really fun game, really cool people. We were excited to see Brian again. We played him last year, and he came and checked out our board. I got pictures with him from last year.
Yeah.
After round 2, we had lots of AMG people checking out our board, like Will Schick, and we talked to a lot of different people. I tried to go around and see other boards. So Paul's board was, the airport with Ant-Man growing and grabbing Rhodey by the feet. What else was there? There were 2 teams that had their display inside of an arcade, like an old X-Men arcade. There's like a Guardians of the Galaxy one and an X-Men display inside arcades. And so that must be a theme this year.
That 2 teams had the exact same idea, unless they
I think they were friends. I think they knew each other.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. So maybe they were hoping to all make it to the showcase and have this
2 arcades.
This row of arcades. That would have been cool. But it turns out that Stephanie and I represented Marvel Crisis Protocol at the showcase. So 2 teams were selected for that. Just to kind of recap the rest of our games, we played against Wakanda, and we were doing really well until they made it over to us, and then
until they got close to us.
We were playing really well, and I thought we had a chance, but then they got off. There's a really interesting Wakandan combo to power them up so they can charge, and T'Challa and Namor just go ham. So we lost that game. We went 2-3, and we always go 2-3. The 3rd year in the row we've gone 2-3 at the team tournament.
Which is, at least we're not getting worse.
Correct.
We're just kind of staying the same. But it was fun. That game against Wakanda was against Mary.
We had seen her 2 years prior. She was just cosplaying Captain America that year.
Yeah. So that was cool that we got to play her this year.
I'm scrolling through pictures to make sure, because there's a 4th and 5th. Our 5th round was against Paul and Cody. They had cosplayed as Kingpin and Crossbones last year. So we had pictures of them, and they were kind of our acquaintances from last year. So we were excited to hang out with them. And I'm so sorry, I forget who we played on the 4th round. Oh, Schulze.
Oh, yeah.
We played against Apocalypse. Schulze and Kim from Indy. So I've seen them and I've played them before at events in Indy.
That's right.
They were playing mutants, but they were playing them under Apocalypse. So it was X-Force versus Apocalypse. What?
Dustin says next year will be 3-2. I'm feeling it.
Man, that's our hope, right? Our two biggest goals were to make the showcase and go 3-2, and we went 2-3 again. It's okay. It's really fine because we got to play our friends. Schulze is really a great player and a fun guy to play against. We did beat Apocalypse, and the way to beat Apocalypse, because it is very hard, is to throw big things at him. So we had Cable and Bishop throwing tanks and buildings at Apocalypse.
You don't get extra defense for dodges?
Yeah.
Take this, and take this, and take this. We just started throwing everything we could at him.
Yep. Like, Apocalypse essentially heals every time you hit him, but not with throws.
Not with dodging.
Yeah, so... that was a really fun game. I'm really proud of us that we actually beat Apocalypse. We couldn't beat Dormammu, but we did beat Apocalypse. And then our last game with formerly Kingpin, they were dressed up as like Stark Industry, just employees, and they were playing Avengers. And it was a very close game. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, we're gonna go 3-2. And I think they got us by 1 or 2 points.
Yeah, it was a very close game, and it was fun.
Yeah.
To try to get there, and
it's fun. It's fun to fun, and they even split like the golden ticket with us.
Yeah. Well, that was at the beginning of the game. They're like, here, let's just go ahead and split these. There's no pressure on the game now. Let's just have fun.
Yeah. Yeah, because there were... Each round, you got 5 tickets, and then there were 2 golden tickets for the prize wall on the line, so the winning team, each of those players could get a golden ticket, and we just agreed before the game, like, here, why don't we just split these ahead of time? We had a blast. I'm proud of us.
Yeah.
I've been playing X-Men and X-Force most MCP events last year to prepare for our team. Stephanie played them in a couple events too, and I feel pretty good about rotating back and forth between X-Men and X-Force because they have different play styles, similar characters, and it was awesome. We got lots of love for this board, and it was like beyond what we could have hoped for. We did win best display and presentation, and like people were clapping for people getting awards, and then when they called for us to get best display and presentation, everyone got louder and like cheered for us.
Yeah.
It was amazing. I'm like, yeah. And then also AMG, Simone was like, why don't you guys go over to the booth and we'll do photo shoots of your display.
Yeah, we did a full-on photo shoot inside the AMG booth with their professional photographer, and Dallas and Will were over looking at it, and
Dallas came over and gave us some thoughts about, you know, what he appreciated about the board and that it was like consistently well done throughout. So it was kind of like a dream come true. Like we're hoping to make the showcase, but we didn't just make the showcase. We like blew people away, and that's kind of what we like to do. We handed out friendship bracelets to professional casual and our opponents, and then the judges, Tisdale in particular, came over and he's like, what did you make your bracelets out of? And we're like, oh, you didn't get one? And then we started handing them out to the judges. So apparently our bracelets were noticed and people were asking where to get them. And yeah, so...
Which means I'm coming back with them next year.
Are you sure you want to do bracelets again?
Yeah, they were a hit. People loved them.
Okay. I think we want to do buttons for some people too.
Yeah, but I'm definitely making bracelets to hand out again next year.
That's cool. Yeah, and we got into the Army Showcase and Best Display and Presentation. So that was our second medal of the weekend.
Saturday, let's see. I did a painting class with Zambies. It was called Whim Dark, Vibrant Yet Spooky. It was really cool. She's so nice and sweet, and like her voice is like butter, so I could listen to her talk all day. She gave a lot of different tricks on basically how to make your models look like they're glowing. So she went through 3 different color combinations and how to layer those up to make them look like they're glowing. We started with a set of greens, which this is where I first used the Pro Acryl paints.
Like this class sold you on getting Pro Acryl?
Yeah, because that's the paint line she had for her class. So we started with greens, we layered up and mixed colors to make some greens look like they're glowing. Then we went into pinks and purples, and it was nice because, like, in the class, you have her painting at the front on a camera, and so with a big TV so you can see what she's doing. And then in between each step, she walked around and gave feedback to everybody on their model one-on-one, which was really nice. And then the last step she did was like a orange to yellow fire type palette to make stuff look like it's bright and glowy. And I'm excited to take what I've learned and incorporate that into stuff that I do here at home. It was a really fun class. I gave her the crystals that I bought for her. She was supposed to have a cauldron on her desk to trade trinkets with people. And the person that was supposed to bring her cauldron forgot it.
Boo!
So she didn't have a cauldron out, so she didn't do trinket trading, but I still gave her the 2 little crystals that I bought for her. One was a heart, and the other one was a mushroom.
Zambies is super cool. I was in her chat one day, and she was working on her old hammer. So she had a piece in the Golden Demon. I'm pretty sure she got notable for her little goblin guy with a big banner, the banner being free-handed. That's very much an old hammer type thing. Because, I mean, Golden Demon, back in the, I think, 80s-ish, was all about big free-handed banners.
Yeah.
What else did you guys do while I was doing Pirates before the showcase?
Me and Rosie then went and did a splash of color paint and take, which was okay.
It's just hanging out painting a model. It's just hanging out
painting, yeah. It's not anything that's instructed. It's just show up, here's some models, which I thought it was just going to be one model. It was a set of 3.
That's cool. You got a squad, though.
We've got a squad of models from Weird Miniatures.
Last year, Rosie did, like, a slightly bigger robot. This year, you had 3, like, smaller models.
Yeah.
So that were squad.
We each painted one of them, and then we took them and left because we wanted to see what other people were up to.
So Braden was cosplaying his Mechanicus guy, and we added a backpack onto his costume. He had to take a break in the middle of the day, but he went out multiple times. And then I was on the 4th floor doing Blood and Plunder. I was super excited about this voodoo pirate ship and these voodoo crew members. Some of them are skeletons, some of them are humans with skull face paint on. It's obviously not historical, which is what the game is. It's more historically minded, but I went early, and I actually signed up for and learned to play so I could be more prepared for the tournament. Remember earlier I talked about how I needed to be prepared. I didn't want to be the new guy that was clueless, so I go in, I'm like, hey, I haven't learned to play, but I played this before and I've been studying. I need more of just like a practice game. And I did that. I got to play a staff member, and I got to ask my questions. So, just know that this story goes in a bad direction for me. But I started off with good intentions, where I'm asking the staff member questions on how my sneaky pirates work. And he is conferring with other staff members to give me the correct answers so I would know how to play it and so that I could play correctly and so I could enjoy my games, right? I don't like calling judge. I don't like having rules debates. I just want to roll dice with my pretty brightly painted plastic. So that's my mentality. And I did my due diligence and I got this practice game in and I got my questions answered. I go into my first game, and the sneaky pirate rules, without giving you too much detail, is all about flying false colors. Pirates can fly the flag of their opponent and pretend like they're friends until it's too late, and then the pirates are discovered and are closer in. I have a starter set ship, and my whole strategy is based around flying false colors. It turns out that most players think that flying false colors is a gimmick and it is silly and nobody ever uses it, I think. Or they don't take it seriously enough, but my whole game plan was around it. So you have to roll to see if you're discovered, and I was told before the tournament that you could re-roll that roll to not be discovered. Okay, that's a big piece of this. We go to my first game. I'm one of the few players that have starter set ships. Everybody else has bigger guns, bigger ships, and that's why I was going to fly false colors, so I could get in there, board their boat, and then whatever ship they were sailing didn't matter, right? Because I'm playing sneaky pirates. I'm up against some ships with bigger cannons, and it's harder to hurt their ship, and I have this starter set ship that's really fast. So my whole game plan is to sneak up there, board their boat, so it doesn't matter what boat they're sailing.
Andrew says, I like pirates and rules, so go on.
Yes. Okay. All right, buddy. My whole journey with Blood and Plunder was fun because people loved my theme and it got a lot of attention because it's bright and there's voodoo magic and all this stuff. So I hobbied the crap out of the cannons and all the models. But the rules. So the rule is that at the beginning of the game, the pirates can fly false colors. And that means the opponent's not going to be able to shoot me until we get within 12 inches. And every turn we roll to see if they notice that I'm pirates. And I was told you could re-roll that roll. I go into my first game. I'm against a British redcoat cannon list. And I'm like, great, I'll fly false colors so I don't get cannoned as much. I roll the die, and I fail the roll. I said, okay, I'm going to spend a fortune point and re-roll that, and I got a success. And then my opponent's like, I don't think you can re-roll that roll. And I try to explain, I just had this practice game with staff members, and these are Adepticon staff members. Some of the head, judges, not the head judge, but competent judges at Adepticon. They told me right before the tournament that I could re-roll this roll. And I explained that to him. He's like, I don't think so. So he calls over a judge, and I get to watch for a second time the Adepticon staff discuss the rules on if I could re-roll this roll. And it is very important. It's the difference between me taking cannon shots to my little boat or me being able to sneak up into his boat and board him, which is my strategy, okay? And they discuss it. And they pull in more staff members. And they decide to change their minds. And they told me that no, in fact, it turns out I can't re-roll my flying false colors roll, even though most of them told me that I could. Alright, so I'm discovered right away, and I start taking cannon fire, and I'm trying to sneak up to him, and I'm taking cannon fire, and I'm shooting some of his crew off his boat. He never sinks me, which is great. And it felt like a game because, I never sink, but he basically gets me down to sailing splinters, where one decent shot is going to sink me. I am an inch away from being able to board his boat, but I don't make it. So we're just trading like pistol shots and musket fire from boat to boat. And I lose because I've been damaged a lot more than he has. All right. It was a fine game, but it was very frustrating to me. And I mean, I got a good picture with the guy, and we ended up on good terms, shaking hands. But I got super frustrated having to watch the staff debate the same rule twice for me. Again, it's a rule I'm exploiting because I have a starter set ship, and everyone thinks it's a joke. So, that was my round 1. We go into my round 2, and I'm up against someone who really knows what they're doing. This guy has been making YouTube videos for the game for 7 years, and has a really cool personality, and he also has a very tough ship with better cannons. It's not the same ship, it's not the same faction, but it's a flute this time around, which has high walls, and it's going to be harder for me to climb up on his ship. So again, I'm doing my sneaky pirate thing. I now know I can't re-roll that roll, but I succeed with my rolls, and my flying false colors works, and I'm getting closer to his boat, and he can't shoot me with cannons. Then, like I explained earlier, if we get within 12 inches of each other, I'll be discovered. So he moves his boat within 12 inches and says, okay, I now know you're pirates. I'm going to shoot you with my cannons. And I say, well, actually, the rule is not when you move within 12 of me, but when I move within 12 of you. It's really surprising that we had that exchange because he's been playing this game so long. I'm just, at this point, I assume no one flies false colors, and I'm the only one that does it. I'm sure people do it, but anyway, I'm like, no, I'm not discovered yet because I haven't moved. It's only you that have moved. He calls over the judge, and the designer is there. The designer of the game, very nice guy, Mike. And he explains, while the intention of the rule is when we get within 12, I'll be discovered. That's not what's written on the paper. I read and reread these rules so many times so that I knew that it's when I get within 12 of you that I get discovered, not the other way around. So the judges look over the rules, and they have to read it a couple times, and the designer's looking at them like, this is the intention, and it is ruled in my favor that I am not discovered yet. So I'm like, why did we have to even have this conversation? I don't like calling judges. I don't like doing rules debates like this. But they rule it in my favor, so I'm not discovered. So I then move, and I get to move straight at him, and I get to unload grape shot cannons and my muskets and my swivel guns, and I shoot a bunch of dudes off of his boat. And he never gets to fire a cannon shot at my boat because I snuck in there with the plan that I had, the entire time. We get into melee, and through melee, I did end up losing. He killed my captain in melee. I did not kill his captain off of his boat, so I ended up losing that game. But I'm still really proud that I got to do the sneaky pirate thing that I intended all along. I don't mind losing a close game like that. It was close, and I think I surprised him because he wasn't expecting that plan to work. So, yeah, it was an experience. There was highs and lows. I was kind of frustrated, and people could tell. I tried to keep it together. I mean, it's Adepticon, so I'm a little more emotional than normal. And we had gotten into the showcase, and the showcase is about to start. Stephanie, I'm supposed to play another round of Blood and Plunder, but Stephanie messages me, like, in a panic, I need help setting up our display right now. So, Guardians of the Insects, you guys were setting up your awesome Age of Sigmar in a TV with 4 vignettes of different cartoons, kids' cartoons. Do you remember what they were? Let's break it down. There was Clifford the Big Red Dog.
Barney.
Wait, who did you do you remember who did each of them? You did at one point.
I'm pretty sure.
If you guys want to chime in with who did what. There was Clifford, Barney, Gina's Sesame Street.
I think Gina had Sesame Street. I want to say...
And Teletubbies. There were giants that were Teletubbies.
Dustin says, nope, let you figure it out. I think maybe Peter had the Teletubbies.
Okay.
I want to say maybe Dustin or Peter. I can't remember who had the Clifford the Big Red Dog.
Was it Andrew that was Clifford?
I think Andrew was Barney.
Okay. Was it?
Wrong already.
It was Peter or Dustin that did the Teletubbies? Nope, I don't even know. I'm completely wrong.
Yeah. I'm trying to think.
It was so freaking incredible that we got to be side by side with our Guardians of the Insects trivia friends at the showcase. People were laughing at this Age of Sigmar TV thing. But setup was happening, and I'm still playing Pirates, so I actually messaged the I messaged whatever in the Blood and Plunder Discord, like, hey, I'm not dropping, but give my round 3 opponent a win. I have to go help my wife right now. So this is probably where I messed up my legs, going from the 4th floor.
I didn't know that you just dropped that last.
Oh, absolutely. I did not even pick up my ship or my crew or anything. I'm like, because you seemed so panicked, it's like, I got to be on the 1st floor now. So I completely left everything there and just left. And while I was on the escalator, like, texting them, like, hey, not dropping.
Peter did Clifford.
Andrew
had Barney.
Okay.
Gina was Sesame Street. Yep. And Dustin was Teletubbies.
So
I had cool. Andrew and Gina right. I just couldn't remember between Peter and Dustin who had Clifford and who had Teletubbies.
Yep. I'm going to wrap up about Pirates here, and then you can talk about the showcase while I take a break. But I didn't play my round 3 because I was helping set up. And so Rosie came down and helped, and we moved around a little bit. There were other teams with other displays that kept asking us, like, what are we doing? And I'm like, go find Anthony, the staff guy.
Yeah.
And then when Anthony came around, I'm like, there he is, go get him. Because you had to fill out a paper and pick out a spot and whatnot for the showcase. I end up going back upstairs and hanging out a little bit while the other guys are playing Blood and Plunder. I end up getting 2nd best painted. At first I'm like, I was shocked because I'm like, well, I had all of this freehand on the side and this crazy stuff, and everybody kept talking about how awesome my boat is. There was a different guy there that did a historical looking boat, and it was phenomenal. I had not taken a good look at his boat before when I realized he was about to win, which was kind of a secret. He didn't know he was winning best painted force yet. I go over there and I'm like, oh man, that's a really nice boat. And I made friends with him. We started chatting, and he came down later on and checked out our display at Armies on Parade. And I can, before I left, I said congratulations. I didn't tell him why. But yeah, he had some freehand like designs on the back of his boat, very historical looking. I don't remember what force it was, but it was a beautiful boat. And if you looked closely at the wood, that design that he did, it was very good. So I was happy to get 2nd painted at Blood and Plunder Sea Battles. I got this little metal captain guy. He's like a special pirate captain, and I got a coupon that I was excited to give a friend who plays Blood and Plunder at home, and then realized that it's a coupon for at the booth at the convention. So, but hey, I have this little piece of paper, and I have this cool captain guy. So, and then I went downstairs.
Like, I immediately saw your guys' just TV down there, and I'm like, oh, we're gonna set up right next to these guys. And then we realized there was, like, not a lot of space over on that side of the room to, like, stand behind the tables. So we immediately moved across the way to where we would have more space. And got set up. A lot of people were down there looking at the displays even before the event started. I even had Victoria from Victoria Minis, who was one of the judges. She came up to our display at like 7:30, and like I turned the light on for her, but I didn't like fire up any of the sound because I assumed she wasn't judging anything at that point, being that the event hadn't started. But she was very nice. So yeah, we got everything fired up. There was a lot of people, but there was a lot more space than last year.
I think that hallway is it's just nicer all the way around. People get to kind of go through the middle and see the both sides. It was just a little bit of an upgrade than the slightly darker, slightly smaller hallway of the Renaissance.
It was still kind of dark, so I'm glad we had our little light off to the side.
Yep.
I think the judges appreciated that as well.
Yep. Super quick question for you, for Drax here. He has a little rock that he's got a tiny tactical rock on for his 1 foot. Mm-hmm. Should I go ahead and glue that on, or should I wait until we figure out our bases for this?
It goes like on his foot?
Yeah, he's stepping on a little tactical rock.
Oh. I think the rock would be fine.
Yeah.
We're doing a cosmic thing, so...
Okay.
I think the rock is fine.
I just wanted to check with you before I did it.
Yeah.
We were thrilled at the people that came up to look at our stuff, and we really enjoyed watching people go up and check out your kids cartoon thing. Super, super cool. Super honored that we got to be side by side in that event.
That was amazing. I'm so glad that you guys made it as well, because that just made it even more enjoyable for us.
Yeah, so now that we're doing a Guardians thing next year, you got to do an insect thing so we can be side by side Guardians and insects. No pressure.
We want to literally be the Guardians of the Insects next year.
We got our hopes up, I think, too high for the showcase. Because we had made the showcase the year before, and so, like, we wanted to medal, we wanted to make the showcase, and then our ultimate goal was to podium. Mm-hmm. And we always kind of felt like, because they changed the format, and they created an award for best skirmish game, and each judge got to pick one, and con-goers got to vote for their favorite.
Yeah, I felt like we had a really good chance of getting a medal and being recognized at the showcase. Yeah. And I got my hopes up way too high.
I kind of knew that it was a long shot, but we also had a chance, and it turns out we basically got second for towards best skirmish game. And so we, what was it? Louise from Rogue Hobbies was one of the judges, and Eric from Eric's Hobbies, he had given us the feedback for this year. So we got Eric on our side, essentially, and kind of got him convinced that we should have walked away with, best skirmish display. But we got second. And it was to Gene Stealers, which is a Games Workshop game. Last year we were sitting there looking at the giant Games Workshop displays going, this doesn't feel fair. So then it felt a little bad that a Games Workshop skirmish game took the skirmish game. Right? It's completely fine. Like, that night though, we were upset. We were definitely upset that Gene Stealers, that Games Workshop had taken most things again. We were told that it was the painting of the Gene Stealers that did it, versus the painting of the Marvel characters. And so at first I was thinking, well, is there like a bias just towards the Games Workshop models and the Games Workshop paint style, the Golden Demon kind of paint style? What do we got?
Dustin says, I do wish they had better lighting in the hall. One of the judges thanked us for having internal lighting.
Yeah.
We already have a concept for next year. I'm sure we can sneak in some Easter eggs.
Oh, okay.
So they're doing the same thing. Yeah. They're brainstorming on the way home like we are.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, no pressure. But if there's a little ant or a little Ant-Man somewhere, or maybe we just have to incorporate a little Ant-Man somewhere in ours.
That'd be funny
to represent. But a little salty that night for sure. But we slept on it. Came back the next day with a fresh outlook on okay. Let's get some more feedback and let's get better for next year. And that's what you're supposed to do when you're in these competitions. You're supposed to, learn and grow and get better. And we were told by the judges, like they just kept saying good things about our display and they couldn't really say anything bad. But I'm looking for the feedback. I'm looking for the hard truth so that I can actually get better, not just, telling me what went well. It was cool that they liked it and had a lot of great things to say. So I tracked down Louise and I chatted with her at the Golden Demon cases, and she was pointing to some of the Golden Demon entries in the case and talking about the style and the smoothness and some of the things. And her favorite display, or her judge's favorite pick was actually Legio Imperalis or something. And that game, the models are like tiny. It's like 40K, but like tiny. And whoever did this army, it didn't even have a display board, but it was so small, and they got almost the same amount of detail on the tiny little Space Marines as you would big Space Marines. And because of the skill involved with that is what drew her eye and was her favorite and the award that she gave. And so that kind of, I asked a lot of questions about the Gene Stealers and kind of my painting style. And I walked away from that feeling better about what we had done and started getting the wheels turning for what we could do better. I also talked to Eric, who liked our stuff a lot as well. I chatted with him near Golden Demon as well. And he was talking about, because we had our board rotating so you could see it from different angles. And he's like, yes, you want that parallax, but you also want to have the golden angle. You want to have the angle that, the board shouldn't rotate, or I feel that way, because when somebody comes up to our display, it should be at the golden angle, and it should make you want to rotate around the subject, not rotate the subject so you can see it differently. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And we chatted for a long time. Like I chatted with Louise and Eric for a long time. We also chatted with Duncan Rhodes. Duncan, I had asked him Saturday night, hey, no matter what happens, I want your feedback. And so he invited us to come to the booth that he was working at to get that feedback on Sunday. And we chatted to him for a long time. Mm-hmm. His favorite pick was an army that was ranked up with shields, and each shield had a different kind of freehand on it, and he just prefers the look of ranked up troops, and that's what he likes. And he picked an army that wasn't Games Workshop, having been the workshop painting guy. Like, he taught us all how to paint Warhammer back in the 90s, tooth and coats, right? And he picked a non-GW game that's ranked up with shields. So it was really interesting to get their perspectives. From Duncan, I realized through that conversation that we had action split apart too much. We had sentinels. We had a sentinel on this side and a sentinel on this side, and we had like two groups of action going on two sides of the board. And for him, we should have had one main big piece of action with little action around it. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So like one big bad or one main thing to draw the eye in, and then other little things that you can discover later, instead of two sides, two medium pieces of action.
Yeah, so we take all that feedback plus the feedback we got the previous year, and put together an even better display this next year.
That's the idea. So we're getting to the end of... Oh, you know what? We haven't talked about Path of the Worthy a whole lot. We put in our Path of the Worthy pieces on Thursday morning, right before shopping. And I'm
dropped
sorry.
The babies off at daycare.
Which it was emotional for me. I'm like, here's my Juggernaut. Hope he does well. And I end up getting a bronze, and that was what my original goal was before I got out of my mind with too lofty. They told me that there was a lot of really good feedback on our Path of the Worthy pieces. The female judge, I don't remember her name, she was super sweet, and she was telling me how much she enjoyed the humor of the kick me sign and stuff like that, and but the hard feedback, and I told them too, I'm like, hit me as hard as you can, because I want to learn and get better and come back better next year. The floorboards, they were made of popsicle sticks, so that was out of scale. My curtain rod was not painted. It was just shiny silver, and that detracted or kind of forced your eye away from Juggernaut. And the curtain was also out of scale and could have been shaped differently. And all of that was super fair. So they said, with some little tweaks here and there, and the wall, I guess, seemed a little bit too thick. With some of those fixes, some of those things changed. Was definitely could have been a silver. But I'm still super happy with my bronze. So, how was your experience with Path of the Worthy, Steph?
It was fine. I got my heroic patch for showing up, which was pretty much all I expected. I didn't expect to get any kind of medal or anything. But I did enjoy getting some feedback. To be fair, a lot of the feedback is, it's all very subjective, right?
It is.
So, the thing that won was just a model on a base and
a playing base. She was on a little piece of terrain that comes in a terrain set and on a playing base. And a lot of times they tell you that if it's on a playing base, its destiny is to just be a playing piece. But that was what won the Worthy. So there's a lot of... But she was painted so well. I understand really well why she won.
Yeah. But the fact that, the feedback I got, which I still kind of understand, is that the base for Magic needed to be blended into the mountain. Mm-hmm. And they didn't care for the background. They wanted either the back of it to not be there or to be built up around her. But I feel like if it was built up around her, it was going to make it darker and you wouldn't be able to see her as much. So I didn't really understand that.
Yep. So I don't know what I'm going to do for Path of the Worthy next year. I definitely do want to do it.
Yeah.
And I do want to do MCP Teams and shoot for the showcase. But what we learned is we need to shoot for making the showcase and putting a model in Path of the Worthy, but not really care how it goes. Not get so invested in, I would love to get a bronze this year and maybe a silver next year or something like that. But it's so subjective. The high levels of Path of the Worthy and the high levels of the Armies on Parade, it's so subjective by the judge that we can't take it personally and we can't get invested with the outcome of that. We just want to make it there, right? So, lessons learned.
Yeah.
We had an amazing Adepticon. Marvel Trivia Champions again with our friends. 2 times. Best display and presentation with Marvel Crisis Protocol, photo shoot with AMG, chatted with Dallas. Dallas was like spinning our board around going da-da-da-da-da.
He was singing to it. Like, that was great.
We were in the showcase side by side with you guys, and I got this bronze thing and blew people away. And we were on stream, so we could watch our game back. Like, it was all super incredible. But then we had some low points, like frustration with Blood and Plunder and Middle Earth, and being too invested with the outcomes of this competition. So we're gonna do this cosmic thing, and we can't wait for next year.
Yeah. All right, guys. Have a good night.
Take care. See you next time.